BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here, and I am your Wednesday night reviewer for BodyBags and have the great honor of coming to you the night before Thanksgiving. So an early shout out to that. Hope all the preparations and everything are going well for you this evening. Tonight's reviews you can already see from behind me and what I'm holding up here. This is the Scorpion release, of course, of Humongous, 1982. And I need to say that, man, I love me some island horror. That is easily my favorite subgenre. I love island horror, man. Anytime anyone is going out, they're out in the middle of nowhere or somewhere, whatever, out in the ocean or whatever, and something happens and they wash up on a beach and, man, things just go bad. It's awesome. I just love it, man. I don't care what it is. It's great. So I had to go with Humongous, man, because for the longest time, this film, man, I would look high and low for it, and I would always hope I would go into Goodwill, maybe find a VHS copy or Amazon, but it just seemed like, I think it was Katrina's Nightmare Theater edition or whatever, was the only copy that would come up. And man, sometimes, man, when the price they were asking was just insane, and so I just let it go, and then lo and behold, Scorpion comes along and finally brings out this is easily one of my favorite films from back when I was a kid, and always loved that poster. Or I don't know if there's a glare, I hope not, but God, man, I love this movie. So from 1982, which is also my favorite year for films, 1982, Humongous, of course, stars Julian as Sandy, David Wysocki as Eric, Janet Baldwin as Carla, and of course, Gary Robbins as the Humongous. It's great. Also, too, I learned, I had no idea, but he is Sawtooth in Wrong Turn. And so that's interesting. He was a professional wrestler who went into acting. And this was his first major gig, was Humongous. Anyways, it is directed by Paul Lynch. And as you can see, he's also, 2 years earlier, did Prom Night. And the writer, William Gray, was known for, he wrote The Changeling with George C. Scott. And so two very notable pieces of work outside, of course, this film, which, even in the early days, I mean, it kind of came along, and right as Embassy or Avco Embassy, I mean, it was kind of breaking up again, and it was just seeing its not so great days. And if you listen to the commentary with both the director and the writer, they talk at great length about how timing just wasn't on their side with this film, whether it was the poster art, which they both hate, or just the marketing, just how motorcycle flying by, just how overall the film got treated. It kind of just missed, the fog had come out, and a lot of films, 80, 81, and it just missed it. It just missed it. But, I grew up as a kid. I love this movie. I love the poster art. I never dug that deep into whether how much it fit the movie or not fit the movie. The movie itself scared the wits out of me as a kid. I don't know. Maybe it was because most of the movie was in the dark, and so the jump scares worked pretty good, at least for me. But also, I just mentioned this is a Canadian release as well, and but basically what we got here is a group of kids who are heading out. This is Lake Michigan area. They're basically heading out on a small little excursion to St. Martin Island, and along the way they happen upon a fisherman who's stranded seemingly in the middle of nowhere, and they pick him up, and he starts telling them the tale of how he kind of broke up just off the shore of Dog Island. And so he tells them the tale of Ida Parsons, the family, and just sort of the misfortune, and no one goes on this island, and if you happen to go by this island, all you hear is the dogs, it's populated by dogs, and it's just got this, it's sort of this mythology already, and people just avoid this island at all costs. And these are the movies I love, man. When it's on an island like this, and it's just got a bad reputation, and people stay away from it, and then somehow a group of unlucky kids. But these kids, the three, Sandy, Eric, of course, and Carla, those three, I'm telling you, there's times in this movie where they're all sort of side by side in frame, and I'm down to, you would think you were watching Scooby-Doo or something, the cinematic version of Scooby-Doo. It's uncanny. It's kind of funny, actually, and that even comes up in the director commentary, and I would have never even thought of it for what it was for them mentioning it. So anyways, you also have this issue between Eric and Nick, their brothers, on the boat. A lot of stuff going back and forth between characters, and Nick finally decides he just does it. He's pot smoker and whatnot, and he's a little fried out in the middle of the night, and he decides to take control of the boat and try to get him out of there. And of course things go from bad to worse, and next thing you know, they're washed up on the beachhead, and there you go. The rest of the film is, it's not a straight horror film in the sense of what you would think. It's more of well, it's weird I said Scooby-Doo. It's really kind of an uncovering of sorts of who's Ida Parsons, who's this woman who's been living on this island with their dogs for the last 30-some years. And I should say this too. The film opens up in 1946 on Labor Day weekend, and a vicious rape unfolds before us. Ida is raped by, in this, it's never really fully said, the relationship between the guy and her, but he sort of pushes her on towards down by the beach, and he has his way with her. It's very vicious. And back up at the main house, as party's going on. Of course, this is the height of the family. It's a lumbering family in the lumbering business, and they're sort of at the height of things. And but the father senses something's wrong, and he lets loose the dogs. And when the dogs come down to the beach and they happen upon the scene, well, let's just say the dogs take matters into their own hands, and Ida sort of finished things off. But then from there on is the story, this uncovering of this mythology, which is so kind of neat, and this layering effect that happens, which it's funny, if you watch Prom Night, there are connections. My little one just got up, I gotta wrap this up. There are some really weird parallels going on between Prom Night and this film in terms of the both the antagonist and the protagonist, and how the film ends, and where the protagonist, the last survivor, where they both end up in both films. And it's really kind of interesting. I mean, it's the commentary was kind of hard to listen to, because you could tell they weren't in the same room, I guess, and their sort of things were just kind of brought together. But it's still, a lot of stuff kind of comes out. And so there's really a lot to unpack in this film. And so I would say if you've never seen it, you ought to see it. But if you've seen it and weren't that impressed and sort of just threw off by the wayside, I'd say go back there and revisit Prom Night. And there's a lot of stuff going on beneath the surface. And I don't know how much more to say. It's some interesting things. And so I guess I'll just, instead of rambling this time, I'll try to cut it off here and just Humongous, 1982, my favorite year in film. And again, I am a horror and island horror fanatic. If you got any suggestions of island horror films that I might be interested in, please drop them down in the comment section. I want to start building up my library with island horror films, and so if you could do that, be so kind to do that, that would be awesome. And so again, from 1982, it is the film Humongous. And this is VHS82 apostrophe signing off this Wednesday night. Again, I'm your reviewer for BodyBags, and thank you for watching, for listening. And I want to say again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And as always, go Bills.